your home for over 18 years of horse racing action. The Sport of Kings, featuring Tommy Walski. On today's show, we'll meet Hastings' all-time leading trainer. Our race of the week features the Derby hopefuls squaring off for the first time this year. Tommy takes you racing across the nation. We look back in the archives in case you missed it. We get you back on track. Our salute to the champions features a classic equine champion. And now here he is, BC's ambassador to the world of horse racing, Mr. Tommy Walski.
During his long and successful career here at Hastings Racecourse, trainer Harold Barroby has led all trainers 10 times in victories, and he also leads all trainers when it comes to stake wins with 52, still on top. But what you may not know is, to get there, Harold had a very successful career in Alberta.
Been leading trainer 2 years in a row before I took the private stable with Canada West, and then Canada West decided to move out here. I didn't have very many horses. I just had, I probably had 10 for Canada. It was just exclusively for Canada West.
Is it a big transition, Alberta to Vancouver?
For trainers and everything,
Yeah,
yes, it was a lot different. I mean, I think you have to have a lot fitter horse here. You have to train your horses a lot harder because of the sand, more sand to the track, which they need sand because of the rain, so much rain here. And I would imagine there'd be quite a few changes in horses, different horses, if they ever had a chance. You know, some horses would be better there, and some horses would be better here.
In the 30 years and more you've been here, have you seen, has it changed much?
It's changed really a lot. Like at one time, racing was the big thing in Vancouver. Now, with so much other things going around entertainment, it's not the one and only anymore. And every time they open up a casino, we would see 10% drop in the betting here. Every time a casino opened up in the Lower Mainland, it would be 10% decrease. And it's hurt racing.
We missed the boat 3 years ago when we had all the conservancy groups opposing us, and it slowed us down 3 years.
Oh, definitely. You know, it's really hurt because by the time we come on now, there's so many other places open with slots and that, and they thought that we'd make a lot of money out of the slots here, but it's not even half of what, we're not even making half of what BC Lottery said we would make.
Correct me if I'm wrong, when Woodbine had the racetrack, their goal was their simulcast, and people thought they were crazy because Woodbine specifically was interested in teletheaters. And it seems like they were right.
Definitely. If it hadn't been for the teletheaters right now, we'd really be in big trouble. The teletheaters are a lot more successful than the slot machines. They are really doing good.
Can you explain what they are?
Well, they have, you can simulcast through TV to places like Kamloops, and we've got places like River Rock and the Boulevard, and the places here in Vancouver are really doing good because it's kind of tough for traffic to get around, and it's kind of bringing the races to the people instead of them having to drive to the races. And also, not only teletheater, IVR.
What's
and
that?
That's, you can bet over the internet. You join up and you can bet over the internet. And IVR is really successful in BC. I don't know if the people are more educated to internet here in BC. They even do a lot better here than they do in Ontario.
Betting on the computer.
IVR is really a big thing, yes.
You're with the HPPA for how long?
I've been a director and vice president most of the time for 33 years
Wow.
now. And it's the longest serving director that's ever been continuously in Canada. And no, I've always taken it very, you know, I tried to work hard at it because racing was good to me, and I always thought if I can give something back, and that's why I've always done it.
Does the HPPA, do they get involved in the purse contracts and anything to do between you and management?
Oh yeah, we have to sign the purse contract. We have a contract now for 3 years, and all kinds of things like that with the management. You have to, you know, kind of work with them with the stake books and the condition books and a number of things. It's just never ending.
Can those negotiations, because you are negotiating, can they get kind of tough?
Oh, definitely. You know, you gotta fight for the horsemen, and they're fighting for management. So I mean, you've got to have your, it gets pretty tough sometimes, you know. But you can't. You got to try to, you know, you got to try to cooperate and do what is right. You know, you don't want to be, you know, get into a terrible fight or anything. But we seem to be able to always work things out.
Have the conditions changed since you've been here to give the little guy a chance to move up the ladder?
We don't have as many little guys as we used to have, which I've kind of been against. You know, I think they give some of the big stables too many stalls, and then it crowds the little guys out. Or if a young guy is trying to start training, he gets put down into barn am, which is not, it's not a bad barn, but it's noted the owners don't like their horses there, and it's hard for young trainers to get started. If they're put down there, well then the owners don't like it and they give them to somebody else that's up in the big barn. Which when in the old days, we were allowed 25 stalls and that was it. I can see the decrease on the little trainers all the time. It's getting to be less and less of them all the time. And I think it causes shorter fields too, because if you get a bunch of horses in one barn, they don't, nowadays they never used to pay attention to the average. Now they really pay attention to the average. And if a trainer's got too many horses in one category, he only wants to run one. And you know, if it was spread out with other trainers, them horses would be there running against each other. One time when I was out here, we raced 147 days, I believe. Now we're racing 75 or 76 days. And that's how we seem to keep the purses up, is to run less races to keep the purses up there.
No one's in this business unless they're positive. What's the positive side?
I don't know. I guess we just got to be able to get better racing and sell our races to other areas like California and all over, and try to hope that we do better that way.
I'm still happy that you stayed in the business.
Oh yeah, I love it. No, I love it. It's been good to me and good to my family, and no, I wouldn't do anything any different. No, I love racing.
Now it's time for our Racing Across the Nation part of the program, and this is where we take you, the viewers, across the country to look at many of the top races and horses that you would not get a chance to see unless, of course, you were watching the Sport of Kings. First up, we go to Woodbine Racetrack in Ontario. Horse you're going to be watching would be Terry Jordan trained Dancing All-Star, one of the most popular horses ever to race here at Hastings. She doesn't win this race, but the reason we're showing it to you, it's one game effort, perhaps her best race ever.
With 2.5 furlongs to go, then Saskawea. Proud Heiress is trying to get into it, and they're inside the quarter pole, and it's Bear Lahina with the lead. Verdana Bold is breathing down her throat. Dancing All-Stars being hard ridden. Authenticat's right there. Smart Surprise is set down far outside for Proud Heiress as they come to the last eighth of a mile. 6 of them across the racetrack. Down on the inside, Dancing All-Star, far outside for Proud Heiress. Smart Surprise is right there, and Smart Surprise has come away with the lead. Smart Surprise to win the Henry over a very game and determined Proud Heiress. Authenticat was third.
Next up, we take you to Hollywood Park in Southern California. You're going to be watching the $100,000 Railbird Stakes. It includes 2 undefeated fillies. One of them is Hall of Fame trainer Richard Mandela, who saddles the 8-horse Whitty, and Carlsbad, who's number 3. Unfortunately, only one horse comes out of this race unbeaten.
Berg, Carlsbad, midway on the far turn, is the leader in the 47th Railsbird Stakes, and she's a length in front. But now Whitty is coming after her, and here we go at the top of the stretch. Carlsbad gets a full challenge from Whitty, and the 2 undefeated fillies come to the final furlong. Carlsbad inside, Whitty outside, and they throw it down to the final 16th. Whitty puts her head in front. Carlsbad tries to go with her, but Whitty's got her measure. Willow Way is trying to run into second, but Whitty is going to win the Railbird. Whitty has done it!
Time now for Sport of Kings trivia, and here is today's trivia question. This year's Kentucky Derby winner, Mind That Bird, won at odds of 50-1, narrowly passing Giacomo's winning odds of 49-1. There was one other longer odds winner of the Derby. Can you name him? Well, the answer for you in just a moment. Don't go away. The Sport of Kings will be right back. Time now for the answer to today's trivia question. If you guessed Big Brown Donerail, he did it in 1913 at the Derby at odds of 91-1.
Now here's the part of the show we simply call In Case You Miss It. It's a chance for you to look back at the magic and the mystery of horse racing here in British Columbia from the Sport of Kings perspective. In case you missed it. Today on our In Case You Missed It segment, we're going to take you back a few years. We're going to visit one of the most entertaining and informative and most of all honest jockeys. That would be former rider here at Hastings Racecourse, Jake Barton. Jake is really upfront on how tough it is to be a jockey, which is why we're showing it to you again, in case you missed it.
Lots of times I'd like to be able to eat something, and I always call it I rent it, but it'd be nice to eat something.
You rent it?
I rent it. My food's just for rent, you know? In any job you have, you're gonna have things that you have to do that you don't I mean, there's gonna be benefits and things that you gotta do, you know, and that's just one that's been one for me. I've never been a little guy. I'm little out in the regular world, but in the jocks world, I'm big, you know, and that's funny to say looking at me, you know, but it's been something that I've dealt with my whole life, and you learn different techniques that helps you and suits your style better. Not everybody can do what I do to pull weight, but I can't do what everybody else does to pull weight. Everybody says, oh, you know, you go out and have a dinner and actually be able to keep it in you and go to sleep, you know, and wake up and feel what it's like to be full. I don't get that option. I don't get that luxury.
Is it something, you know you want to quit, but can you quit? Or are you trying to?
What, riding or flipping?
Flipping.
Well, everybody'd like to gain a little bit more weight, but on that side, if there are horses, like I notice a few trainers saying, and I won't mention any names, but they say, well, a couple more pounds may break down their horses. And one of the best answers to that was Aaron Greider said, if your horses are within a couple of pounds of breaking down, we don't want to ride them anyway. You know, I mean, if that's what's going to cause a horse to break down, you got guys that are 150, 160 pounds working them in the morning. You know, you get back to England and them places, the jocks back there are quite a bit more size than what we are here. And so I don't think 2 or 3 pounds is going to break a horse down. The last time I had my body fat checked, I was like a 1% or something like that. I mean, so that's, you know, that's very hazardous. I mean, that's not healthy. I'm probably one of the biggest flippers that around. I mean, and like, I've never have hidden it, but that's what works for me, you know. And it's not nice. I mean, there's lots of times I'd like to be able to eat something, but it comes more of a habit than it does of a weight reduction thing. If you talk to a lot of guys that flip, you know, like I do, you realize it's just a lot of times you do it just to do it, you know. And it gets into that habit, and it's very difficult to get out of. I love being back here, and because, like I said, some of my biggest highlights and my biggest memories of my career have been here at this track. But the 2 days a week, and I've only been back here a week, and I've noticed a drop, just, you know, in my weight and just the attitude of everybody. Like, they'd like to have more. They'd like to have at least 1 more or 2 more days, because it helps everybody all around. It helps the people that are running the horses, the owners. It helps the jocks like myself that have a weight trouble, and even guys that don't have a weight problem. It gives them something else to do during the week.
They're talking about more races. There's more races on a 2-day week.
That's not the answer to me at all, because not only that, you got a guy like myself where I only want to ride 4 or 5, you know, 6 races at the most anymore.
During his long and outstanding profession as a jockey, Jake Barton has seen all the ups and downs with being a rider. Jake sits as a board of director on the Jockey's Guild here in Canada, and we recently sat down and asked him about pensions, the dangers, and why he does what he does.
First of all, because it's something you love to do. I mean, ever since I was just a kid, I've always liked going fast, and from when I was riding motorcycles to it gets in your blood, and it's tough to get out.
How dangerous is it?
The longer you go in your career, it's something that's in the back of your mind. I mean, you understand the possibilities of getting hurt and that, but no, as far as being out there, if you start thinking about that all the time, you're not going to be as successful as a rider.
All jockeys make a lot of money?
No, absolutely not. There's just a handful. I mean, you see the guys like McCarrans and Jerry Baileys. Those are in the limelight. Those are guys you see every day, making the big money. But guys that just do it every other, like around here now, they'll be lucky if they make $20,000, $30,000 a year.
Break down the wages.
Out of my paycheck, 25% naturally goes right to the government, and that's just right off the top of my check. Another 25% before I even pay the government goes to my to my agent. Some guys pay their valet 10%, 5%. That's all set up with the original valets that you're working for, but a big chunk goes to that. And then your other expenses on top of that for like tax and all that. So on average, if you take home 20% of your paycheck, that your paycheck says you're doing good.
Pension plans.
And what's that? We just don't have a pension plan. So everything that we make, if we don't put some aside, when it comes time to retire now, you don't have a pension coming to you. So you have to be very smart with your money while you're making.
Injury pay?
We have the Jocks Guild that you belong to, and you'll make so much off that a month or whatever, but it's really not comparable to what you're going to make riding. And other insurances don't really, it's tough for them to cover you because we are in such a high demand sport and such a physically active sport that a lot of insurance companies kind of want to stay away from us.
Would it be safe to say most riders are lucky if they get $300 a week when they get hurt?
Oh yeah, I think that's about the going rate, $300 to $400 a week. The more horses you ride in a year, obviously you're paying more money into our guild, so you're going to make a bit more than a guy that might only ride 100 horses a year, but on the average, you're lucky to make $400.
What happens when a jockey's career is over?
Whatever they can find, if they haven't put any away, and even if you have put something away, you still have to do something because you don't make enough to make it so that you can just say, oh, when I'm done riding, I'm just done. You're going to have another job.
Jake, other sports have guidance plans for their athletes for when they retire.
I'd really like to see that happen. I don't know if it'll ever happen in my career, but for these younger guys coming up and stuff, we really need to take a very serious look at stuff like that, like pensions and guidance thingies to help them out. So if they don't make it as a rider or their career is falling short by injury or something, that they do know how to come back and they do something else.
How difficult is it to maintain a decent riding weight for most jockeys?
Oh, it's tough. Ask yourself one thing, go to a grade school playground and look at the kids. Look how big the kids are these days. They're just not little people in the world anymore, so there's naturally going to have to be something done if this business is going to continue.
Jake, a typical day for yourself and other riders begins how early and when's it end?
Well, I get up anywhere from 4:30 to 5 in the morning. I come in the morning, get on my horses that need to be worked out. After that, on race days, or even before race days, as here we just race 2 days a week, so naturally we're having to hit the box more than just race days, but most of the time they race 5 days a week, so out of those 5 days a week, I'll be in the box pulling weight and getting ready for the race day. I'll get home anywhere at night from 6 to 6:30, play with my kids a bit, and then it's bedtime.
You touched on 2 days. How tough is that for you and other riders and horsemen?
It's tough on everybody, Tommy. You come from like when I was around here before, you'd racing 4, maybe 5 days a week. 2 days a week, it's tough for anybody to make a living. And it's really tough on riders like myself that do have weight problems that, that gives you 5 days off and where you're not really, sure you come in the morning, but you're not in that constant pulling weight every day, and you're not, it can get away from you if you're not very close with it. And just even 1 more day or 2 more days, I'd love to see it get back to 4 days a week. That'd just make everybody, even the whole backside, the owners, the trainers, the jocks, the grooms, it'd make it a lot easier on everybody.
You have 2 kids. Would you be in favor of them being jockeys?
Oh, I hope no. I hope not. I hope they go to school and be a lawyer or a doctor or something. I realize now why my mom told me, don't be doing that, you go to school and get a real job. But no, you know what, if they are, more power to them. I'll support them 100%. Hopefully I can help them out if they decide to. I'm not going to discourage them from it. If they want to, that's more power to them. But I'd like to see them do something else.